AWS in particular, obviously one of our great partners, they announced plans to invest $11 billion.
Are you familiar with vibe coding? That's like a whole thing right now. It's YOLO for software developers. Did you see NVIDIA stock bounce back?
Secret agent, man.
I mean, you could call it a prompt issue, but like you can make a really nice prompt filled with wrong information. Darcy is a tool we built.
Well, the ROI is incredible for time saved for your team, for our sellers.
Welcome to episode 4 of AI Unplugged. I'm Travis Rehl, and I'm here with my co-host, Andrew Sinclair. Justin Copley's actually at GPS, the Global Partner Summit with AWS. And today we're talking about a lot of different interesting topics. First being agents. Are they real? Are they not real? Is it just like noise in the markets? We're going to talk about vibe coding and the horrors that it can bring, and also the sort of fun experience you can have of it, as well as some market information. What's happening in the market? What are businesses doing? Where are they investing? So it'll be a fun conversation. Hope you enjoy. Andrew.
Hey, Travis.
Welcome to episode 4 of
AI
Unplugged.
Unplugged. And look at us in our matching vests.
That was unintended.
Unintended, but boy, don't we look good.
I actually almost chose the red one today.
Yeah.
But I figured other people would wear it.
Well, you were right. You knew that my Canadian self would, of course, choose red on white.
It's true. Yes. Very patriotic of you today.
Well, I was a guest last time for episode 3.
Yeah.
And look at me now. Justin is in Seattle.
Yep.
I think he's meeting with our friends at AWS in their HQ1, talking all things partner, providing feedback about the ecosystem. But I'm happy to be back.
Wait, hold on. What is HQ1 things? Just so people understand, this week is GPS or
Global Partner Summit.
Yeah. So that's an Amazon event. They're bringing partners like us and others to be like, tell us about what's happening in industry, give us feedback. It's when partners can communicate and have a heart-to-heart, right?
That's right.
With AWS.
Yeah, I think it's a good mix of, the corporate settings where they can educate us on things that are coming down the pike and things that we should be thinking of,
right.
Trends that they're seeing.
But AI was huge.
Big.
Everybody's texting me, like literally just texting me every 15 goddamn minutes.
Right.
Oh, they're talking about Bedrock and this thing and agents over here and that thing over there. And I'm like, all right, it's fine. Please stop texting me. I have work to do.
Well, there's always new exciting announcements.
Yes.
I think last time we were talking a little bit about DeepSeek, which had its moment, right? And people, to various degrees, trying to digest, how that was going to impact the market, the landscape of Gen AI. We've had a little time.
NVIDIA stock bounce back.
It did.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's bullshit. It's just like the DeepSeek thing was really interesting and useful. And people loved the fact of like how to use the technology, but it wasn't like the NVIDIA killer that people were hounding off in the media.
Yeah, the market definitely digested it. And I think we've seen, companies react to it as well. AWS, I think, was the first cloud provider to actually deliver the model, maintaining its status to provide the portfolio of tools and models in their ecosystem.
In fairness, I think GCP did too, like around at the same time. Just call it as it is.
It's a race to the finish.
Okay,
we'll see.
Right.
We'll see who came first. Let's give the benefit of the doubt. But it definitely underscores, their commitment to providing a broad selection for models, even if some people may still have questions yet about it. Were you surprised that they offered R1 and as a serverless option in Bedrock?
I was surprised they didn't tame it first. Meaning like R1 as is.
Like guardrails? What do you mean taming?
It has all the Chinese bias baked into it, right? They won't say Tiananmen Square, for example, right? Now, some vendors, what they've done is they've tuned R1 on top, and they have brought back in and sort of eliminated the bias prior to making it available. I don't think Amazon did that. I think they just literally just made it public.
Which is their model, right? Of let people choose, give them the option, and not put their finger too heavy on the scale one way or another.
That's fair. Yeah, I think I was surprised by it because I think a lot of companies were nervous about the sort of optics. You know what I mean? Of just like sort of accepting the bias type of a thing. That was interesting to me.
Yeah. Have you played around with it much, or you think it's going to be relevant to any of our customers?
I think look, R1, the new Sonnet 3.7, which is thinking mode enabled. Models like that have reasoning. So just to be, what is this for a moment,
Sure.
right? Because you can replicate this of like any model. They just baked it. So if you go to a model today, you put a prompt in, you say, I want to go do a thing, like make me an email about whatever. You can put it right at the bottom of it. You can say, think step by step in little thinking tabs. and then give you your final answer. And you'll see as it outputs, it starts thinking through its problem and it gives you an answer. Instead of prompting it that way over and over again, R1's baked it in.
Hmm.
Sonnet 3.7's baked it in. So will customers use it? Yeah, I think they will for like complicated tasks or tasks that have like lots of different steps, how to solve a problem in a particular way. But will it become like a default? No, I think it will be actually really expensive and slow for a lot of use cases that don't require that level of like insight, right,
Yeah.
into solving a problem.
Well, if DeepSeek was the name of the moment from a few weeks ago,
Hmm.
it seems like this one, and probably germane to all the text that you got coming out of GPS, was agent.
Yeah.
Secret agent, man.
Okay. All
We
right.
hear a lot about that. And this new formation of a group
Yeah.
within AWS, an
The
initiative
Bedrock agent team.
basically
Yeah.
developing AI agents
Yeah.
capable of autonomously performing tasks.
Yeah.
And, Matt Garman, CEO
Hmm.
of AWS, really touted this potential as the next multi-billion-dollar business for the company.
Look, I want to like put some like douse it with water a little bit.
Yeah, hype or not.
Okay. A
Maybe it's
year
a new segment for
a year
us.
and a half
Real or not
ago,
real.
everybody was like, "Oh my god, do chatbots." And what was my reaction a year and a half ago?
Yeah,
Don't do
we
chatbots,
don't do chatbox. We
right?
won't.
It's because it's like it sounds cooler than it is,
Hmm.
right? When people talk about agents today, they talk about like, oh, like the funniest one I got actually. This is a real one. Someone said to me, and I kid you not, they said, "Let's put a CMO agent in, and when a CMO will make me a website and do all these things." And my reaction sitting there is like, "Oh my god, please stop talking," because think about it like this: you have a
Because that's what
CMO
CMOs do all
agent,
day, making
right? Like,
websites,
what is your
WordPress.
brand identity? What is the color palette you use? What words do you use or do not use? What are your service offerings? Are you describing them correctly? Like, there's all this like nuance to doing a job as a person, and they'll have like the assumption that you can just like, I'm gonna throw in an agent, right, and it solves my problems. I think is like really short sighted.
Well, are people talking about it as a replacement or as an aid? I
No, I
think a
think
lot
people are
of
talking about its
people,
replacement now.
yeah, well, maybe that will shift, right?
Yeah.
To say, hey, this is not going to displace an entire workforce or industry, but it's going to help people do things better, faster, stronger.
So like I like good I like the wordplay. I do like agents from a perspective of if you've got a workflow you as a business operate on, and maybe you always know what the outcome is, like like you're going to take in information and you're going to do something, and like the outcome is always a particular thing,
Hmm.
but you have no idea how to get there. There's lots of like inputs to get there. There's lots of like nuance to doing it. There's lots of emails and ask a question and whatever else to get to a final answer. I think agents are great at that because you give them a goal to achieve. You can measure and grade on the outcome or the execution. And so like in those scenarios where it's not open-ended, make me a website, right? But it's prescriptive, but you need to like kind of figure it out as you go. Agents are great. So like I do believe agents are gonna be super, super helpful. Just I don't think they're gonna be like the replace of job thing. I think that's the hype. When people say like agents, they describe it like that. When I talk to customers and when I say to them, have you thought about an agent for this? Their eyeballs just like roll back into their head. They have no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like even a lot of the products that we're putting out in the market today, we stopped using the word agent because it confuses people. Really, they care about the outcome they're going to get and can they get there faster,
Yeah. AJ, I mean, agent as, even the name kind of sounds like it's personified.
right?
Like it's a person, it's an agent. Um, but we see it across the industry. Microsoft, Google, they're
Hmm.
also pushing forward agentic AI solutions. Maybe that's the better term for it. And ourselves, we have, spent a lot of time, you more than anyone, kind of
Sure.
building out solutions that don't replace anyone, but make everyone's lives a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah.
Darcy,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
is that something you
Sure.
can or are
Yeah,
willing
we
to
can talk
show?
about it. We've been working on agents for a year and a half ish.
Before it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was back when it was an idea, right? We had a really early partnership with a company called Crew AI, Crew AI, and they're like super popular now, right? And like people like them and all these things. And it's funny because I remember taking a phone call with their CEO, and they were just like excited to hear from somebody who cared, right? And
Mm,
now they're like doing stadium level events, like with thousands of people coming to learn about the technology. So it's just kind of funny how over a year it's changed. But one of the things I learned early on with those systems is it's still a garbage in, garbage out outcome, right? And when you give it sort of an open-ended problem to solve, it solves it in an open-ended way, and that's going to suck more times than not. Um, when we started applying it to our business, we came at it from perspective of, look, innovative, us, we know what we need to do our job correctly. It's just a pain in the ass to get there, right? There's like all this stuff we have to do to achieve the goal.
Yeah.
And we ended up building a product called Darcy. And at the time of this going live, we're having it in the market. So hopefully it's not something like,
By popular demand.
by popular demand. So what is Darcy? I'll throw up on the screen. Um, Darcy is a tool we built, and it really started from this mentality as an SI, as an MSP, we have to work with our customers all the time to better understand their needs and the things that they do, and ultimately give them like a scope of work or an estimate to go do the work and like a statement of work, like a literal contract we
Every
hand to
day,
them,
that's the job.
right? Like
Yeah.
I have teams that just do that all day. And the problem we had up front was we could go do that. It will take a person, I don't know, 5-6 days to do so, and that's like a lot. That's like a lot of time. What happens if we could do it in an hour?
Huge differentiator.
That was a challenge,
Right.
right? And we started with like typical AI things of like put in a contract and like output a thing, right? And that's like really basic. And what we landed with what you see here on Darcy is an agent system that we don't call it agents because people got really confused. We should try that. Um, I was like, oh, just turn on your agents, have it go make you a SAO. And like, what the hell are you talking about?
Mhm.
And so we ended up calling it workflows, like AI enabled workflows, where agents can go off and solve a problem for you and come back with an answer that the business would accept.
I'm interested in Darcy, but around terminology, are people using the term like assistant as
Fair question.
swapping out for agent, or is that something separate?
Yeah, I would, there's
Like
probably,
Copilot, probably the most well-known one.
yeah, I would say Copilot's closer to an assistant. So there's three tiers. There's do an AI thing, which like you do a prompt and you get an answer. There is an assistant, which is you're working with an AI and that AI has a persona. Like it is I'm here to help you be a content writer,
Okay.
right? And maybe they have some extra information available to them, but their job is to take on that persona. And then an agent's job is to literally go do something. Like you give them the ability to
Got it.
have agency to act upon something. In the market, they will call it tool calling, which is like APIs. Basically, you give an agent an API and it can choose, for example, in Salesforce, you can say, hey, I have this customer information. Agents go update my Salesforce record with these bits. And like it can make an API call. It can make those updates without you interfering. Agency. That's sort of the delineation. Um, Darcy enables all three flavors because there is no sort of like one size fits all for different use cases in the market. And so, like, an example of this is we have this feature called our meeting hubs. And oftentimes we may have like our team on a phone call of a customer and they want like live call analytics, live call insights as to what's going on. So they can literally start a meeting. I can't do it right now on this thing because we have a Zoom call going, but you would input a Zoom call. It would then load up and you would see a page like this where it's dynamically making summaries every 5 seconds to kind of update you as how the call is going.
In real
There's
time.
in real time. You have the suggested questions where like it reads and listens to what the conversation's about, and as an assistant, gives you insights. It says, "Hey, you should poke at this thing over here," or like, "What about that?" And it's the job was to enable our team to be more self-sufficient, not an agent, but closer to an assistant,
Right.
right? Once you're done with a call, you may go into what we call a workflow, and so like an example of a workflow, I'll show you one that's like done as an example. I have like a bunch of these here. So here's an example of a workflow executes. It executes top to bottom on those tasks on the left-hand side. And it does a few things. So for example, we would kick off a workflow to say, hey, I want to build a SAO. And in that SAO, we need things like a level of effort. We need an architecture diagram. We need all this content, right? But it's in lots of different
Deliverables,
places.
backlog.
So agents are used on every task to go off on the internet to find context about that business we're working with, to look at things like what our industry standards are, how does it impact a SAO we should be writing for a customer. It even goes off and literally makes entire architecture diagrams based off of the solution we're going to develop
Right.
and give to a customer. It even does things like makes entire PowerPoint presentations that could be used. Like this is an example of a real presentation. Pull it up. All this stuff here is built by the agents have access to PowerPoint.
Our repositories, previous
Yeah.
presentations,
It knows what's good
documentation.
is. Like we said to it, here's a good examples of templates that we use in the business. Go fill it out now based off of this new customer thing we're doing. To me, this is a good example of how agents can be used because the business defined a good outcome.
Right.
Now it's reliable.
Well, the ROI is incredible for time saved for your
Yeah.
team, for our sellers, and be more valuable for customers in terms of richness of data, customization of content. Everybody wins, right?
Yeah. So anyway, we go back. Like this isn't about like Darcy or otherwise. It's more about like how are people using agents, and I think the marketers of the world are thinking about it as a hey, I'm gonna swap out a team or give you all these new features or do this thing over here. And I think of it as it's helping you accelerate from getting point A to point B. If you can do that in a condensed cycle, it's way more valuable to the business. So how can an agent help you do that? You may realize you don't need one.
Mm,
But
that's
that's
an
just
okay option.
yeah, it's totally cool.
Yeah.
Right? Don't buy into the hype just because.
Right.
Anyway,
No, that's cool to see. Yeah, something that I'm getting my head more around, and you're updating features. Again, it is something that we'll release to the market based on customer conversations.
yeah.
When we talk about agents and questions that come up in general, I think it naturally flowed into, well, how are you guys using it? Are you eating your dog
Can we
food?
let's talk about if we got a second. User experience,
Sure.
right? Like everybody in the market and they think of AI, they probably think of
Chat GPT,
right. And when you think of ChatGPT, you think of
Microsoft.
no, it's like that's a chatbot. Right? You think you input text and gives you answers, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
good call.
Right. People think AI, they think that. That is the UX that everybody assumes is the right one because that is what's taken over the market.
Right.
I would challenge it is the wrong one for business.
Why is that?
Humans don't know what they don't know. And so when you give someone sort of an open-ended way to ask a question, chat interface, they may ask it in such a way that is inconsistent or wrong or just like
Like a
strange.
prompt issue?
Yeah, I mean, you could call it a prompt issue, but like you can make a really nice prompt filled of wrong information, right? And like AIs they're yes men ultimately. Like they don't have a bone in their
Sycophants.
body. They're not gonna be like, oh, that's wrong, right? They'll be like, oh, you're right about this thing, but have you considered like this small tweak to it to reinforce you on your incorrectness? And so I go back to like, I wonder if the UX people use is just incompatible with like the reality of a company. I think it's good for people who are informed and they want more out of it, but for people who are not, it's a struggle.
Would software development fall under that?
Yes. That's so are you familiar with vibe coding? That's like a whole thing right now.
Maybe our audience is not. So let's
Okay.
go into it.
Vibe coding is hilarious. I think it's YOLO for software developers. It's literally what it is. It's YOLO for software developers, right? So it's like you sit in front of your computer, you're gonna build a nice cool thing, and instead of like as a software dev thinking through the design and architecture of the how and the why you may build it that way, you
Mhm.
literally talk to your AI assistant, in some cases an agent, and you say, "Build me a project that does a whatever," and you just see it just like starts adding files to your software, it starts adding new code, and it does thousands of lines of updates that no humans realistically going to sit there and read.
Bloat, would you say, or necessary?
I mean, do you know? Because you don't read it.
Right.
And the vibe is accept. And you just try it. Right? Oh, it didn't work. Do a different thing. 1,000 line updates. Accept. Try it. So the idea is like you literally sit back and you just talk to your assistant and it goes off and builds you a bunch of stuff and you vibe away. And hopefully at the end of it, you have something useful.
Right.
Right. And so like what's interesting is it's taking over lots and lots of teams because managers and more see like outcomes faster, but it's garbage
Not good.
because it just keeps making new files and new patterns, and ultimately you sort of receive like gluttonous code, and you're like, what the hell is this thing do over here? You don't know how to patch it anymore. You don't know how to fix it anymore. And you're like, oh my God, what did I do? Right? Like there's a really funny Reddit thread of some guy saying he vibe coded his way that he blew up his own project. Right? So like,
Hoisted by his own petard.
yeah. And so in the context of like garbage in, garbage out, right? And the right user experience, the informed software developer, a person who's done it for years, could use this tool and be like, oh, these 1,000 lines of code, those 200 are bull. Try again. But someone who's uninformed will just hit accept.
And are people widely adopting this, or is this kind of something that's changing the industry and we're at the early stage?
I saw someone post there was a job description for an AI vibe coder. So you tell me,
So it's out there.
right?
It's official.
Someone's literally saying, I'm going to hire that role to do that. That is a stark sort of acceptance,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
And something that's relevant to our business and how we serve customers.
Yeah, I mean, we have maybe about a third of our business are software developers,
Right.
in terms of staff in some capacity. And we use, I mean, truthfully, we use AI in pretty much every facet of the team today. I think the difference is like, would we hire somebody who doesn't understand what they're being given? And does it change the hiring process? And for us, it is like we're hiring less about like, do you know how to write software that does a particular thing, but rather, do you know how to debug a problem that has occurred? Because if you don't know how to debug it, it doesn't matter if the AI gave it to you or not.
Yeah. No, it's fun to see, right? Changes in the industry coming from, this exciting topic. And man, the money that is coming into it is insane. You know, AWS in particular, obviously one of our great partners, is really supporting AI growth. They announced plans to invest $11 billion
Oh,
just
really?
to
I didn't know that.
bolster cloud and AI technologies. I think
Yeah.
based in Georgia.
Okay.
So one of those, state partnerships.
Yeah.
Um,
Like make a data center type of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it aligns with leadership's strategic push to outpace Google, Microsoft that have had similar types of numbers. Um, chip makers like NVIDIA,
Mm-hmm.
50+ billion dollars. I think it was in the hundreds of billions that are all coming into it. Do you see the downstream effect of that, of customers allocating budget for it? Because I feel like
Mm.
last year it was something that maybe caught people by surprise.
Yeah.
Folks didn't have budgets, and they just found a way to it.
Right.
Where that may be more intentional. I mean, you as not only a technologist and thought leader, but you're our CTO.
Sure.
Um, is it? Do you see amongst your peers, CIOs, CTOs, budgeting coming towards this to match the huge investments from the hyperscalers?
I think we're seeing if year one, however we want to call that, 0, 0, was people being caught by surprise. I think this year people are budgeting for either a tiptoe into it or to try a use case into it. But I don't think they're saying our features for the year that we're building or the company business plan is centered on AI. I don't think that's true. Um, I will say the thing that keeps people more interested is the price reduction. So every like 3 to 6 months, the price gets cut in half of using the AI,
Yeah.
the models, right? Don't hold me to this. In my brain, I do think like it's plateauing. Like
So it's not like a Moore's law that will just go on in perpetuity.
no, the rate of acceleration I do think is slowing to some extent. Like I remember, I don't know, a year ago, I'll be like every single other day, I'm like, holy shit, there's some new thing I gotta go do. Right now, I feel like I have breathing room, and that's unintentional. Like I wasn't like me being thoughtful of my own time. It's just like it just so happens that like nothing's dramatically changed, like small improvements and so forth. So I do think there's like a sort of slope that's starting to occur.
Mhm.
And I don't know the impact on price. I don't know the impact on like maybe next year people double down. But this year people are doing more. I just wouldn't say they're going like diving all in.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like for us, it's definitely a piece of things that may have just been a traditional migration.
Sure.
We're seeing less lift and shift and more, modernization. And as part of that modernization, when we start ideating with customers on outcomes for why they are moving into the AWS ecosystem, a big part of it is, hey, we want to do more around Gen AI, and that involves data consolidation,
Yeah.
and laying the groundwork
A lot of
to be
people's Gen
successful.
AI needs are not Gen AI needs. They just want like traditional machine learning. and
Interesting.
they just think it's Gen AI, right? Like I want to say a third of our projects start from like, oh my god, I need a LLM to go do a whatever. I'm like, no, you just need a forecasting model. Like we can build that for you in no time,
Right.
right? And so like I don't know if like how you categorize that.
Yeah, I think it fits under the larger umbrella. AWS is pretty specific that forecast as a service is
Sure.
not generative.
Also
It just
dead.
is AI.
Yeah. Now it's Canvas, by the way.
Right.
Sage your Canvas. Yeah.
Um, so I think that's fair. And part of why getting back to GPS and partners, why there is an ecosystem for us to go educate customers and spread the word on, not just academically what is going on, but what
What
we're
makes you
seeing.
excited? Like what gets you like all like your Jimmy's all
I'm excited. It feels like with generative AI in general, so using like the
yeah,
broader
yeah, yeah.
umbrella, and that'll of course encompass AI and machine learning too. Um, it gets customers thinking about how technology transformed their business in the same way that cloud originally did, moving from on-prem. It's
You think
such.
it's that stark of a change?
I think it's more so.
Really?
I do.
Tell me.
Um, I just think you know, infrastructure in the end is in terms of like, well, how do we execute?
Sure.
How do we run things? And we see why it became like kind of table stakes, where people's business was largely the same, but just on the cloud. And maybe you could do a few different things with the flexibility that afforded. But when you talk about how agents can come along and
Hmm.
support people, and what type of additional services and offerings that can be done through generative I think it makes people rethink the fundamental aspects of services they're providing or
Really?
products they're providing. And so it lets folks reevaluate the core part of their business.
Okay.
And I think there's a huge market
Do you
opportunity
think
for
people
that.
desire that, or do you think it's actually coming true?
I think it's
Because there's
coming
like,
true.
I think the
I do.
marketing side of this world will be like, it's going to redo your business. All these things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But like, do you think practically?
Lawnmower.ai, right?
Right. Like, do you think practically though it's going to be that way? Like, are you talk when you talk to customers? Are you like, oh my god, I wish I had this thing 3 years ago because of X? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, customers as well as people in my friend group that aren't technologists,
Yeah.
have maybe just different, important but cog pieces of their business
Yeah.
as individual contributors or managers. They are thinking of, hey, what are the practical implications for me in my role? And I think once you kind of democratize that at the doer level,
Yeah.
then it bubbles up to, the executives, the C-suites, the board of directors, where there is, change amongst the business.
Right.
But it's kind of bottom up, similar to how cloud was, right? I think when cloud started, it was, developers that just swiped a
Yeah.
credit card and started building.
And
And
everybody
then that became
complained about
shadow
security
IT,
and
right?
yeah.
And now it's the new thing and the new standard. I think we'll see that, but you're free to disagree.
I mean, I don't. The honest answer is I don't know yet. I think I hear from a lot of leaders that they want it to be. And I can't tell if that's because the leader feels stuck in the position they have or the features of the product and they're looking to like jimmy it, you know what I mean? To kind of like jolt it to life and they see AI as a way to do that. Um, or if they truly believe that it's going to be impactful for them. And it's hard to like when you go out in the world and you meet people, it's really hard to sort of discern those two personas you're meeting at a given moment. And so the answer, I really don't know just yet. I do think it has a place. I just don't know if it's like as monumental as cloud, right? I'll give you a different example. Crypto, people
I
talked
was
about
about to
crypto
say,
that same way.
this feels different than the whole blockchain
Yeah,
conversation. And it wasn't, I think, as commonly input in culture,
yeah,
where, my wife, who is an educator and teacher,
right.
was not concerned about how blockchain can help
True.
impact and educate students with dyslexia, which is her specialty. But they are thinking about how AI can help, evaluate students faster,
It's more tangible.
help, yeah, teachers be more effective in how they educate.
Hmm.
And, it doesn't take long to ideate on those things to say, hey, this can really be a big benefit. And they're investing both time as well as money into discovering what that may look like.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely think it's a good. is it a feature or is it a product? And I think that's the delineation we're kind of at right now in the market and like how people think about it. Um, and we just don't know yet. Uh, You know how I'll know when a company gets acquired for $5 billion or whatever, right? Because primarily of their AI features.
I feel like that's happened.
But
Or
like
maybe
more
AI companies have been
okay, fair
gobbled
enough,
up.
fair enough. Like Gen AI features, because like machine learning model based products have been around for a while, and yes, that has been high impact. But like now that it's so, I dare say, easy to implement or get access to, does that make you worth more than your peer or your competitor?
I
Maybe
would
if you can.
love to see the Google trends on domains of companies that were once .com and are now .ai.
Oh my god,
And I think they're doing so because they think it's going to attract customers,
it's true.
improve their valuation, and make them more relevant, which is probably true.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe by next episode, we'll have a better idea as to where this is going, how real is it. But I kind of like this new segment, real or not real.
Real or
So
not
look
real.
forward to oh, that's too good. Travis Rehl, thanks so much for talking,
Hey man,
and we'll see you next
thanks
time.
for coming.
Yeah.